Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille Show. It's Jerry Miller. It's good to be with you on a Wednesday on the I Love CVille Network. Fantastic program lined up for you. In fact, this show is part 2 of a show we did was it last week?
Last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday with Carl Brown. The feedback and the positive feedback and responses that I have received and that Carl has received have been off the charts. And he and I have a dynamic and a chemistry. I think it's almost like maybe like Magic and James Worthy, almost like Allen Iverson and Eric Snow when they were in the backcourt in Philly, like my boy Rip Hamilton and Chauncey Billups with the Motown Pistons. I'm a big Detroit Pistons basketball fan. We got chemistry and we keep it real and we respect each other, and I love that about him. The I Love CVille Show, guys, let's thank some of the folks that make the program possible. First, I want to give some love to Interstate Pest and Service Companies. Interstate Pest and Service Companies have been servicing the community since 1969. It started with one truck and Mr. Wells, who had a dream to start a business, and he was alone. And he had sweat equity, vision, and a entrepreneurial mindset. He would go service a client at their home, and then when he was done servicing that client, he would then head to the next client, and before he went to the next client, he picked up a phone at a pay booth, at a pay phone, and said, "Can I come see you?" Because it was 1969. No cell phones then. Today, it's 4 generations strong with the office right around the corner from Bodo's Bagels, an office in the Shenandoah Valley, an office in Richmond, and a Commonwealth-wide footprint. And our firm, our business, V&V Brands, is the proud advertising agency of record of Interstate Pest and Service Companies, just like we are with Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. Who's got your back? Dr. Wagner's got your back, whether it's sports medicine, physical therapy, or chiropractic care. Scott Wagner is changing people's lives one patient at a time. He's doing it from the old Quinn Farmer auction house with the team. When we first started working with him, it was one doctor, a couple of people up front. Now it's 5 or 6 doctors in an army of people at Dr. Wagner's. We salute you, Dr. Wagner, for making this community better. He's Harris Tolber. Harris, why don't you flip to yourself real quick? Say what up. See how you doing. Give me a feel of what's going on with you. How's it going there, Harris Tolber?
We're looking good, Jerry. All set for the day.
All right. Harris Tolber, our director. Judah Wickhauer, producer. Lauren Linsky, producer on this program. Ralph Poindexter Jr. says, let's see if you keep the conversation going like we did last time. Ralph Poindexter Jr., don't you worry about that, baby. Don't you worry about that. Let's welcome Carl Brown to the show with the studio cam, and then we get Carl in the mix. First, you looking sharp, per usual.
Appreciate you. Shout out to Dex. Dex, you already know. You already know what it's going to be, Dex.
Okay. I want to start open-ended. We talked about this briefly on Facebook, and I want to get your take on this. Joe Biden running for president, challenging Donald Trump, did a campaign announcement that was roughly a 4-minute video, and roughly 3 of that 4 minutes, he showcased imagery and video that was from August 11th and August 12th. Start open-ended. Your thoughts on the Joe Biden campaign announcement?
Well, I think we talked about it last time, opportunity. So again, Charlottesville is still rather vulnerable in terms of where we are as a community. So opportunistic individuals are going to use that as their advantage, as their springboard to get to where they want to go, because they know that this community is still vulnerable and we haven't shown, or there hasn't been anything that the country can see that shows that we are different or we are changing. And that's quite natural. But, I mean, you're talking about politics. So what do you think? What else do you think he's going to be able to focus on, particularly when it comes to the comment that Donald Trump said, and that's going to be who he's looking to oppose if he is able to get the nomination? He wants to be able to kind of downplay what he said and go the opposite direction to kind of sway individuals to say, well, hey, that's not my style, whatever. End of the day, he didn't show up, so he hasn't been here. So it's easy just to throw that out there and focus on those things or those issues that individuals that are touchy subjects. So, yeah, quite naturally. Again, that was an opportunity for him to get it out there, and he knows that's something that everybody is going to resonate with. And yeah, quite nice.
That was my biggest beef, was the fact that he has never come to Charlottesville, post 812.
Him or anybody else,
right?
For that matter,
right. Another beef that I had was the fact that he he chose to use a video as opposed to making the announcement in person in the city of Charlottesville.
Correct.
And third beef I had was he has made no donation to the Heather Heyer Foundation.
Correct.
And a fourth beef I had was like, what has he actually done to make the community heal?
Right.
Your thoughts on any of that?
Well, again, that was kind of finger pointing to me. So what he realized quickly was when you point fingers, they come back. So quickly, we got to remember now, and I get it. And so I'm not big on politics. It is what it is in terms of what people do. But we have to remember now, Joe Biden was the same individual who kind of scrutinized and made Anita Hill look sort of like she was a liar when she was up to term. So, I mean, that's like the pot calling the kettle black. I mean, though Donald Trump made that comment about Charlottesville, comment about Charlottesville about the good people. Let's not forget, years before that, you were the same guy, same complexion. You're a white guy. You look at this black woman and you say, "Oh, for the sake of this, you're lying," or "Why would he do this?" And now you kind of got to you got to kind of rear yourself back in. Like, I'm not that kind of guy, because you now got an abundance of women that are saying, listen, we don't like the way you kind of interact with us. You're just a little too friendly. So now you got to kind of defend yourself. But again, that goes back into you're pointing fingers, three come back. So, kind of keep that in mind when you're going out and doing stuff and you're pinpointing and you're kind of being this opportunistic individual. Don't forget your past. Clean up your front yard before you start looking at somebody else's yard.
I love that. So let's stop the sizzle reel there. Start it with my first question all the way through there. That was money. Whitney Deborah Davis, thank you for watching. Jane Ann Pruitt Knight, what's up? Laura Jackson, thank you for watching. Tim Ryan, Chris Turner, Rick Henderson, Grace Australia, Meg Taylor, Ralph Poindexter. Ralph Poindexter Jr. says he's the author of The Crime Bill.
Yes, sir.
Good point, Ralph Poindexter. Thank you for chiming in right there. Give the show a like and a share no matter where you're watching, whatever stream it may be. One of the things that people really liked, and I heard from a good buddy of this program, James Watson.
Yes.
And James Watson said that, if you really want to know how Charlottesville is, listen to Mr. Carl Brown talk about how Charlottesville is. And he said, and what he was relaying was when we were talking about when you were growing up, was it in the Star Hill neighborhood right off?
No, Preston Heights.
Preston Heights.
Don't ever forget that.
Preston Heights.
So often overlooked. Preston Heights is a totally different neighborhood than Star Hill.
What's Preston Heights like now?
Preston Heights is still probably one of the only neighborhoods that still that hasn't seen a lot of change in terms of construction. So a lot of those homes, the people have changed in the homes because a lot of those people moved out. But in terms of the dynamics and looking at those homes that were there when I grew up, those places are still there. So, you can still get a good visual of what it looked like when I was growing up.
So you're saying not a lot of gentrification?
Not a lot of gentrification. Now, people have moved. I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
There are individuals who have moved into those homes and they've been bought and sold.
Okay.
But from a preservation standpoint, in terms of who've purchased the homes, there is a realtor who kind of took onus and purchased those homes knowing the historical proportions of them and kind of kept them natural and kind of updated them. Jeremy, what is Jeremy's last name? Pearl, his name is, what is it called? Golden Purse? Okay. I don't know what his name is, his business, but there's a gentleman named Jeremy who is actually a UVA alumni who's kind of purchased all those homes in that Preston Heights area and kind of preserved them to kind of give them that feel where the neighborhood's still there. Now, there are different people that still live there. But in terms of going into their neighborhood, that's probably one of the only neighborhoods that looked like it did when I was younger.
What are the other ones?
How
about Fifeville?
Fifeville has changed some. Fifeville has changed some.
How so?
Just the construction. UVA has kind of come in and tore some stuff down, bought up some of the property.
Seen a lot of doctors moving in.
Yeah, it's different in terms of what that housing, the housing looked like. Some of those houses didn't look like that, and some of them may have needed to be upgraded. But in terms of just that Preston Heights area, a lot of those houses are still in their original form. They just had to get a little makeover job. But, if you go, many people who came up in that community can look at it and said, I remember that house. I remembered who lived there. And so a lot of that architectural work it's still existing, which is kind of remarkable because it's been many years and they didn't have to do a lot to it, just some, cosmetics stuff.
What were the kind of like the outlines of Preston Heights? Like, what are like the streets?
Preston Heights basically started where the railroad tracks cross right before Reed's.
Okay.
So where Brown's Cleaners are, where that is,
Yeah.
there are those railroad tracks right there. Once you cross those railroad tracks, you began to get into the Preston Heights area. So that would be like, that starts like Harris Street, Charlton Avenue, Henry Avenue, 4th Street. All of that began that Preston Heights area. And it should be noted that, in terms of what came out of those communities, if you just started from crossing that tracks, you're talking about the Leroy Moores, you're talking about
Leroy Moore, Dave Matthews Band.
Dave Matthews Band, you're talking about the Carter Bufords and that whole Buford family, you're talking about the Wilsons, you're talking about the whole 4th Street crew. Shout out to the 4th Street crew, you know who you are.
Roosevelt Brown?
Roosevelt Brown, you're talking about
Was
Burley.
he there?
I don't know. He went to Burley. So Burley was in that same little area as well once
okay.
you cross that track. And so the list is endless. So I kind of grew up in that area. And to many, that area is looked upon as that they were the uppity blacks. And so...
What do you mean by that?
Well, y'all think y'all better than us, or that kind of perception that those people that lived up that way thought they were better than the Vinegar Hill or the Star Hill or whatever. So you've always dealt with that perception growing up, and that was just a perception. I've heard it before, and it is what it is.
Why was that the perception?
I guess because people lived in their own homes, people were homeowners. Part of that perception is because some of those people probably carried that way. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that I think gets overlooked in terms of when not just white and black, but just how certain blacks look at certain blacks. So you have that feel of colorism. Where at a particular time, certain blacks looked at certain blacks as not above them or not worthy, or you come from this. And so, I mean, in terms of looking at Charlottesville in that way, we tend to look at just black and white. When the true measure of it all is we got to look at black and black and how blacks look at blacks. And so it's such a dynamic that it's so hard to kind of figure out, because who's going to step up and say, well, I look at this person kind of differently. But that's how they perceive those people in Preston Heights. That's why you never really hear about them. So the people, the educators and those business owners and the advocates and those individuals lived in that area. So, I mean, it's easy to kind of put that perception in the air. Whether it was or was not, I don't know.
April Dent Ward, thank you for sharing the feed. Tyler Berry, thank you for joining us. Tim Ryan, thank you for joining us. Folks watching from Richmond to D.C. to Southwestern Virginia and into North Carolina right now on the I Love CVille Show. Good friend of the program, Carl Brown on the program. Vinegar Hill versus Star Hill neighborhood versus Preston Heights versus Fifeville. My boy Damian Banks lived across the street from Ridge.
Correct.
And kind of like that Ridge neighborhood.
And was that considered Fife?
He said that was not. He said that Ridge was the divider.
Right. Ridge was his own little place.
Little neighborhood.
Their own little neighborhood.
Yeah. So this is what I love. I love the history aspect of Charlottesville. I love this community. I love to learn about the community. You have more experience in this community than I do. Mm-hmm. What was like the dynamic of, say, a Vinegar Hill?
Okay, by the time I was born, Vinegar Hill was not even there.
Okay.
So you gotta kind of
Charlottesville destroyed it. Charlottesville local government.
Regardless of how you want to look at it, it wasn't there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I can't go into, I know what I've heard in terms of firsthand knowledge. By the time I was born and got to move in, that wasn't there. You know, from what I hear, Charlotte, like all things, it was development, and it was at a time where, from an economic standpoint, the government decided that was going to be their
like a business district.
They wanted to turn it into what they wanted to turn into, and they saw the value of it, and they kind of came in, and for those owners who were there, kind of undershot them in terms of what the value of that property was, not really telling them, and that's business, but not really telling them what the value was and what it could be. And the rest is history. They kind of got them out and bought the property and kind of created this new utopia, what they called the projects.
Friendship Court?
No, Westhaven.
Westhaven. Okay, sorry.
Anybody know anything about projects? Is exactly what it says. It's a project. It's not a name. A lot of people correlate the projects as a name and rep it, but that wasn't the point. It was a project. Let's put these individuals in this one area. That way we can monitor and kind of get feedback off of what takes place, what goes on, what is, and so that's what it was. And so that was the birth of that. And so, you know, I mean, it is what it is, but that's exactly what took place. And then, as you see, they developed Vinegar Hill to be a part of this area here. And so you see how much it's thriving now and what it is. So I'm sure if they'd have told those individuals back there truthfully, listen, do you really know the value of what this property is? Maybe they wouldn't have sold.
They wouldn't have sold.
They wouldn't have sold.
Yeah, because it's in the heart of the city.
Right.
It's like a hop, skip, and a jump from the mall.
Right.
You know, it's incredibly valuable.
Right, totally valuable, and that's why they kind of undersold it. So, I mean, from a city standpoint, and that still kind of goes on, being deceitful in your actions and having plans, but you got to be a little more aware. That takes us, that's a whole nother conversation.
Well, I want to have that conversation.
All right, well, yeah, let's have that conversation.
Yeah, and you're educating me. I had no idea.
Cool.
I did not know. That's why I like this.
Right.
And that's why people appreciate the dialogue last time, because it's a dialogue that for so long it's like a dialogue that people are tiptoe around. Yeah. But we do not.
Yeah, no tiptoeing. No.
Because, you know.
Straightforward.
Yeah, straightforward. Please help me. Educate me.
I will help you. So we want to go back into the Vinegar Hill.
Yeah.
I was thinking, you know, I think it was a deceitful move, and they kind of had an idea of, much like now, I mean, and so it's a double-edged sword, because if you ever want to find anything, you can read about it. And so the development that's taking place in Charlottesville right now just didn't happen. That was probably 5-6 years out. But we don't pay attention to the zoning and those kind of laws. We stay so focused on the day-to-day banter back and forth about this or that, not knowing that things are getting approved all the time. And by the time you get it and you start to see the construction, it's already been done. You know what I'm saying? It's etched in stone. Those two Twin Towers on Main Street, they were done like 5 years ago. I remember when the idea came up and it kind of gave a scale model, and I was like, wow, things are getting ready to change really fast. And then to see him, I was like, but I knew this was going to happen 5 years ago, and I read about that.
Did you like it?
Well, it's not for me to like. It's just what's happening. I mean, in terms of the space, the development,
because I'm worried.
It made sense. It made sense to go up because you didn't have a lot.
You need the density.
You need that density. But in terms of, there are some questions I would have in terms of you putting that right in the Westhaven backyard. And so how does that work? Well, how's that dynamic, particularly when we're still talking about housing? So I don't know what that conversation has been in terms of how that's going to work out. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen there's now some little pop-up restaurants in that area. And so, you know, it'll be interesting. And I haven't done my homework on what the plan is. But it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out in the end.
Ralph Poindexter Jr. says land use plans are typically 20 years out.
Yes, sir.
You're totally right, Ralph Poindexter Jr. Thank you for joining us on the show. Let's give some props to some folks that are watching right now. And if you guys could like and share the feed, that would mean the world to us. Luis Jones, Reese Wells, thank you kindly for liking the show. Jonathan Galasso, thank you for watching. Folks watching across the Commonwealth right now, when Westhaven was first introduced, is it fair to call Westhaven the projects?
What you mean, is it fair? It doesn't even it's not about being fair. That's exactly what it was. Okay. That's what they called all housing developments in the country. Cabrini Green was a projects. Okay. So any projects, when you go to New York, those are projects. Okay. If you look at the dynamic of it, what is it? It's low-income housing, generally and typically blacks, put into this one area, and they're monitored. Basically on a lot of different levels. It became almost one-stop shopping. Social workers could go in, police could monitor what was going on. I mean, so when you say, can it be called a project? No, it is a project. It was a project from that standpoint. Now, people have adopted the name the Jacks or the Projects because that's what it was, but it has a name. Westhaven is the name. But it was a project from an economic standpoint in terms of, we're going to build this and put these people here to kind of see what that dynamic is like. And that's what it is. And so you have those all over the country. And so people kind of, what you call them, but they have a name.
How about Reese Wells? I'll get to this link here. Thank you for leaving it here. Reese Wells leaves a link on Carl's page about, is it Vinegar Hill's evolution, Reese? I believe it is. The history of Vinegar Hill. Yes, thank you very much, Reese, for leaving that there. Like and share the feed no matter where you're watching. Bellamy Brown, thank you for watching with us now. Ronnie Lazary, thank you kindly for watching with us right now. Jonathan Galasso, thank you kindly for watching. Grace Masia, thank you kindly for watching. Caitlin Mancini, a lot of people watching right now. Dan Barnes. The evolution, and I want to turn this into a sizzle reel, starting with my first question about Westhaven to this. How's it changed, do you think?
Well, Westhaven?
Yeah. Has it changed at all?
Tremendously.
Yeah? Positively?
Well, it kind of positively in terms of what I know or what it is now.
Okay.
The population in Westhaven now, I know some people there. I don't know a lot of people there. I think there are a lot of individuals that come from other places. I think the population is younger.
Okay.
When I was growing up, Westhaven was cool. That's where I hung out. That's where all my friends were. I probably spent more time in Westhaven than I did anywhere else when it came to getting out and just being able to do different things because all my friends lived in Westhaven. And so, but it did have a perception like, why do you got to go over there? And I was from Blacks. I mean, why you got to go over there and all of those type of things? Because my friends were there. They were people to me.
Right.
So some of my best friends that
Your
I
buddies.
grew up with.
Yeah.
But here's the perception. Growing up for me, individuals in Westhaven's goal were not to be in Westhaven. So most of the individuals that I grew up with are homeowners now. They used it. That's their springboard. They made the most of their opportunity. We talk about that opportunity. They made the most of their opportunity, and they got out. So it wasn't a lifetime thing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that people are going into Westhaven to make it a lifetime thing.
Because that is an unfortunate stigma that some folks have, that it's like a lifetime thing. And that's
Right.
that ain't the case.
No, not by, listen, if I just start naming off people, Phil Stinney came from the projects, James Brock, Martina Payne, it's endless, but those individuals use that as a springboard. Now they're prominent business owners, homeowners, had their own kids. And so one of the things I got, and I think this is generational, one of the things in that generation we always knew is we will make our lives, our children's lives better than ours. So it wasn't, we've always been ambitious. Regardless of what was going on, poor, rich, whatever, we were ambitious and we supported one another. And so it didn't really come from, I mean, you get the stigma from some people, but it wasn't that kind of relationship where if you were, because you were from this place or that place, we built relationships. So we wanted everybody to thrive. You know what I'm saying? And there were some people that just didn't get it. I mean, and that was their life. But as a whole, Westhaven was welcoming to me. Now, there were certain people that just wouldn't go there because of the perception, but I was always welcomed in Westhaven. I could always go to somebody's house or have somebody to play with. But those individuals, as we speak now, those individuals, I wouldn't say the American dream, but they got out and they're living a better life, and their children have benefited from that because their lives are better. They didn't have to go through that. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So they grew up in a house or in a better situation or understanding how to be a business owner or how to go get your education or the variety of things. Now, is that everybody? No. But if you're talking about me, I can only speak on most of the individuals I grew up with are thriving in terms of what they do. And we still see each other, and that's not even a conversation, but we always remember where we come from.
I mean, like, that's the end of the sizzle reel. Start with my question about the projects. Perfect example of that was once you did the show the first time, the first person who blew up your phone, who called you after the show, who was it? You remember?
Phil Stinney.
Phil Stinney. Loved you. Loved what you had to say.
That's my guy.
You guys are tight.
Well, I mean, I don't even know if tight is a word that can even describe.
Family.
We're deep. Yeah. Family, but you have to, I'll tell you what. Unconditional. How about that?
There you go.
That's the word. That's the word.
That's
Well, that's the word we describe each other because we are both competitors, and so me and Phil have a relationship where we can go at each other, and most people will look at that in a strange way, like, wow, they really going at each other, and laugh about it and I'll have my comments, and it's the funniest dynamic. We laugh at it ourselves. It's a funny dynamic because he could be ultra pissed at me, or I could be ultra pissed at him and say what I got to say, and he or I will say, "Are you done? You got it off? Oh, let's move forward then and go about our business." And those are the best, and that's my closest friend. Those are real relationships, but I have a lot of those. My guy Dex, we had that same kind of relationship.
He's watching now.
Yeah, that's what we do. I mean, but
your cousin's watching now,
right?
Bellamy.
Yeah, that's my guy. We have that same relationship. So
let me. Claudine Brown says, "Hey, babe."
Hey, babe.
What are you gonna say to Claudine?
I love you.
Claudine, what's up, lady? Thank you for watching the show. We appreciate that. How about the evolution from what you've seen of Friendship Court? Friendship Court's gone what? Friendship Court, Garrett Square.
Garrett Square first.
Garrett Square first. Friendship Court. Now, is it Habitat or it's one of the nonprofits?
Have not a clue.
One of them is gonna redevelop it.
Oh yeah.
It's soon gonna be redeveloped.
Right.
It's gonna be like a mix of affordable housing, single family homes. Because that plot of land, I mean, we're businessmen. I mean, we know that plot of land is like
you can do something with it.
You can
go
up with it, and it's within what? 500 yards, not even 500 yards, probably 3 football fields from the 8 blocks that we love incredibly well, the downtown mall.
Yeah.
I mean, talk to me about that.
It's an opportunity. Well, I don't know enough about it to say. What you're saying to me is new to my ear, so I don't know enough about it. But, I mean, in terms of what I do know, in terms of that property piece, that's a good start. From an access standpoint, you don't put that burden of travel because it's on a bus line. And in terms of resources, I mean, so it's a good location. It'll be interesting how they do that. I don't know what the plan is, but it'll be interesting to see that. But that plot of land is a nice plot of land. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
How have you seen that plot of land and that neighborhood evolve?
It's been up and down. When I was growing up, that was another place that I could go.
Well, you could have gone anywhere. Everybody likes you.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that.
You don't think that's the case?
Well, it's not
You're
even
a likable
about.
guy.
Well, it's not about being liked. I don't mind. Liking is not my big thing. You will respect me. So as long as you respect me, I'm cool. You don't have to like me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But the respect factor is that's what's the most important.
Sure. Sure.
I mean, people like what they like. Respect is something that's earned, and so you're gonna do that. But again, that was like, to me, Garrett was just like the projects or Westhaven. I mean, I had a lot of friends down there that I could go down and play with and hang out with. It was a different dynamic, but it was still the same. Good people. A lot of those people moved out, went to do greater things, and the dynamics has changed. I think. And again, it's a generational thing. You got to understand the flow of people that come in Charlottesville, that come from different places. And I think sometimes some of those actions from other people give Charlottesville sort of that name or that perception that's the whole, and it's not. So yeah, but it's changed. The dynamics have changed some.
Where did you feel not comfortable going?
Where did I feel not comfortable going?
Because you said you felt comfortable going.
I could feel comfortable going anywhere. But where did I not feel comfortable growing up? Let me think about that.
Michael Guthrie, thank you for watching. Robert Gray, Monticello, staying out athlete, thank you for watching.
Well,
JV basketball coach at Charlottesville High School, Robert Gray. Love you, Robert Gray.
Earlier on, the perception of Belmont when I was growing up, now that was one of the things. The perception of Belmont, I didn't do a lot over in Belmont. You know what I'm saying?
What was the perception?
The perception is, early on, you didn't belong in Belmont. You don't want to catch yourself down in Belmont.
I remember moving into Belmont and I'll cut to the chase and throw it to you. I remember moving into Belmont circa 2005. Mm-hmm. This was before it turned into like $500,000, professionals trying to like walk to the downtown mall. When I got there in 2005, I'll cut straight to the chase. It was like, it's a little redneck.
Yeah, well, that was the perception early on. That was just one of those places back in the day that you probably wanted to stay out of.
Poindexter Jr. says Belmont.
Yeah, Belmont was that place we just didn't go. Now, was it because we just didn't have a lot of correlation or a lot of people that we kind of connected with? Now, you probably saw those people at school, and it was cool. But to jump out on that ledge and say, hey, let's go over to Belmont, that just wasn't happening. You had a cutoff. And even if you went to Garrett Square, you were going to go to Garrett Square, you weren't going to come like the Belmont Bridge. You would come downtown, and they'll put you right there, or come Ridge Street and go down, and it'll put you right in Garrett Square. Belmont was probably that place that, if you ever wanted to know, that probably, the perception was you get over there, you might get yourself jacked up. You might kind of find yourself in a bad way.
When do you think it started changing?
Well, see, I left I tell you what, when I came back from school, it probably changed. I don't know. I can't really, maybe the 2000s?
That's what
late
I thought it
90s,
started
2000s.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I remember when I was a student at UVA, and I lived on grounds. All students have to first year. Then I lived on Lambeth Commons, second year, over there off Emmett, where the Panda Garden Buffet used to be back there. And then third and fourth year, and I lived in the fraternity house, and then on 14th Street. And I remember when I was a student, 2000 to 2004, there was kind of like an outline. And like that outline was that we do not go past UVA students past like 14th.
Right. Who gave you the outline? That's the question.
I don't know. That's when my question was coming to you. It
that's
was like,
not my question. I mean,
it was almost like this, subconscious, inherent, like just understood, like
so somebody told you, like, look, this is your parameters. Don't go beyond this.
Right. But here's the thing: is like I'll cut to the chase. Had a little squabbles with my parents at the time. I'm like you, alpha and proud, and like I'm gonna do it my way. And sometimes that didn't work at home. Okay, and when you're 18, 19, 20, and you think you're a man, and you're still trying to figure it out, and your parents still think that you're their kid, okay, that's going to cause friction. Right. So where I'm going with this is every holiday, Christmas, every holiday, like every break, summer break, all of them, I stayed in town. And then what happened was, and I'm an outgoing guy like you, like we have the gift of human connection. Anywhere we go, we're going to get folks to like us. Okay, so when I was staying over summer break and all this, I was hanging out with folks that live in Charlottesville, right. Like every background. And then like when I was 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, I had friends all over Charlottesville.
Right, which is an advantage.
Yeah, I thought it was a huge advantage.
The crazy part about UVA is, and so I have a couple kids that go to UVA.
So what I'm saying is I wasn't afraid. I would go anywhere.
Right, where's the fear factor? I have friends, youngsters, kids I've mentored, all of that, they go to UVA, and their advantage is they have the freedom to go where they want to go. And so, for certain other students, they don't. But, I mean, in terms of resources, this is what I learned when I went to college. You need as many resources as you can get. You don't want to be put in a box.
I feel the same way.
I mean, it's better to have resources than money.
Options are power.
You better believe it. So you never know when you're going to find yourself in a jam.
Right.
And that person say, oh. Because you can find yourself in a jam.
Because, I had to pay, once I had that friction, I had to pay my way through school.
Right.
So I'm working jobs throughout school. And I was working over at Ruby Tuesdays in Barracks Row, where it was, remember Ruby Tuesdays was there?
Yeah.
Started off as a host, busboy, like clean the bathrooms, work in the dish pit.
Yeah, that was a switch for you, I'm sure.
It was everything. Everything. And then like in the process of doing this, like I made friends with everybody. And then I was like, that's when I started realizing, first that I, can connect with people. And then that's when I also started realizing that Charlottesville was going to be my home.
Yeah, well, I mean, because it's the relationships that you have built. It has nothing. And so, generations try to shape as much as they would like to, and we all do it. You want the best for your children, so you don't want.
We want our kids to be better than us.
Yeah, you do, but you also try to protect them in a way. Be careful, don't go here, go. And in my generation, it was just like that. Why are you going here? Do this, don't do that, and all. I mean, you got to be able to, adapt and realize they're people. That they're individuals regardless of where they live at. Now, that's easier said than done. Much like race, there are individuals in this world who already have a perception of what they think a black man is, or what they think a white man is, or a white woman or a black woman. Until you get to meet an individual that doesn't fit that criteria, and you're like, wow, that person is not like that. Now, that's an individual thing. And too often do people like to group themselves and on two different folds. Group themselves, sometimes to boost themselves up to make them feel like they're better than they really are, knowing that, you're a regular, and then, but also separate themselves and say, hey, listen, this is who I am, and I'm different, and I'm cool with that. And that's my motto. I'm different, and I'm cool with that.
I'm my own person.
Yeah, I'm an individual.
Yeah.
So
this is who I am. If you
don't put me in a box.
Right.
I don't like boxes.
Right. Exactly. I feel like we're getting a lot of feedback here. We got to get to the questions. I'm going to throw it to you. Reese Wells says, "Where on 14th Street?" I don't remember the exact address, Reese. It was about halfway down 14th Street. If you were going from the corner up 14th Street, right as you got up the hill, is where it was. Demetrius Lux says, "What would happen if you went past 14th Street? I'm curious to know." I said, Demetrius, I went past 14th Street all the time, and I was fine.
Nothing.
Yeah, and that's because I had pals and friends all over Charlottesville because I was there all over all the breaks.
Right.
And when I was working in restaurants all over Charlottesville, I got to meet people that actually lived in Charlottesville. And you know what was funny is the folks that actually, when I was in college, the folks that actually lived in Charlottesville, I was closer with them than I was with the folks that I went to college with.
Right. Well,
because they kept it real.
Right.
And
well, you in their backyard. So, people often get this perception. That's a crazy thing. Perception is everything. And so people have these perceptions of what they think black people are. And until you get to know each individual, everybody is individually have their own thing with them. So I can't say that and sit here and say I speak for all. I speak for Carl.
Yourself.
I speak for Carl Brown.
Myself. That's all I'm speaking for.
That's all I speak for is me. You know what I'm saying?
Same thing.
I can't say what a person will do. I can figure it out.
Exactly.
But in terms of me saying
myself.
I represent this whole, that is just asinine to even think of it like that.
And anybody who thinks that is
but guess what? You got a whole community that think that don't go here or you can't go to 14th Street or, and so you get these perceptions. There is just that many people who think UVA individuals are as reckless as the individuals in Charlottesville, because there's some recklessness that goes on in UVA, particularly when you start to get to drinking.
Oh my gosh,
and
that's 100% true.
Yeah. So it's a double-edged sword, and that's what UVA needs to know. As much as you kind of feel like we are townies, we kind of look at you sometimes as you're reckless.
Yeah,
and reckless is worse than just being a townie.
Well, a perfect example of that is I couldn't tell you how many times I've burned couches on in the Mad Bowl.
I've heard UVA students falling off up UVA Road off of, what is that? Further up 14th Street when you get like University Avenue, getting drunk and falling off the roof and dead, and nobody says
or
anything.
Passing out
that's crazy.
Passing out on the railroad tracks when they were trying to cut from Rugby Road and from Madison Avenue over to go to across the railroad tracks. Is that Grady?
Yeah,
I might be going to Grady.
Yeah.
Okay, dude, you don't know how many times I went back there while a student at UVA and saw students passed out on the railroad tracks. A couple times, me and my buddies literally dragged passed out girls off the railroad tracks.
So what make you think, all right, so here it is right here. You saying this to me. And here's the other thing. See, that's not what you're going to see in the news. You're not going, and that's the other thing.
UVA covers its tail. So all the SHIT that's going on grounds at UVA, it don't make the news cycle.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah.
There's more, way more, and that's every college campus. I mean, so we're not going to sugarcoat that. But yeah, I mean, just like all of them, you got your stuff with you, so cover your butt, and that's cool. But don't sit it out there like you're not doing it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Don't put it out there like that's not, because your reputation has been, UVA's reputation has been, I remember they used to do the 5th year 5th, and we used to laugh because that is the most, 4th year 5th. Or 4th year 5th.
I did the 4th year 5th.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, you go all the way through college, ready to go on, and you decide you're going to drink a 5th because you graduating. That's not how
it was
4th year 5th, I don't even know how you do it.
It was 4th year 5th. It was before the last home football game. You woke up on Saturday morning, and from Saturday morning to the end of the football game. And this tradition has since been is dissolving. It doesn't have nearly as much momentum. And the reason is because people realize that this is stupid.
Yeah.
And people see that the negative ramifications that have happened from the 4th year 5th. But it was like when you wake up on Saturday morning to the end of the last football game, you have to finish a 5th of your favorite booze.
Okay, then let me ask you this question: Who put that? Who came up with that?
I
idea?
don't know. Probably the same
know what?
people who
Maybe-
said you can't cross 14th Street.
Yeah, listen. So now we got to get into where are you coming up with these little innuendos?
Traditions?
These traditions. Who is coming up with these traditions just for UVA? Like who is coming up? Don't go to 14th Street, but that didn't stop you because Grady Avenue was the #1 seller of kegs in the whole daggone city.
We used to call that Shady Grady.
Right, and that's how they made their money.
Yeah. Dude, they sold so many kegs. It was
Oh,
either
on a
Shady
weekend.
Grady or if it was Anderson's Carriage House.
Right. Well, it became Anderson's, but
Yeah.
Grady used to kill. They used to be
Grady was great.
Right. They used to keep the kegs outside. They were so loaded, and so some of these. I mean, again, it's tradition like anything else, and so you kind of look at who started the tradition.
A lot of feedback coming on the stream. Let me respond to this and then relay the feedback. So Michael Guthrie, good friend of this program, he says this. He says I'm getting it to you here. The Friendship Court positive redevelopment is key to the realization of the strategic investment area thought process. He's basically saying that footprint, that's Friendship Court, the redevelopment of it is key to what City Hall wants to do. Kathy Galvin's a big proponent of this, and it's essentially take downtown Charlottesville from Court Square all the way south of Charlottesville to the Ix Art Park. And eventually the vision is maybe one pedestrian, commerce, restaurant, music type corridor from Court Square to the Ix Art Park.
I heard nothing about the housing part of it.
Strategic
that?
investment area. Well, the Friendship Court and April Dent Warren has said Piedmont Housing Alliance is redeveloping Friendship Court. They're going to leave a portion of the development of Friendship Court for affordable housing for folks that are making under a certain of area median income, under a certain amount, and we can research that online. But I think the concern that I have is how long is that going to last? And eventually the developers and the people that want to live downtown, they're going to be chomping at the bit to like...
Let's think about it. I mean, I'm going to see how that works out. So you have low income, you're going to have low income housing right there, but you want to create this corridor that has all these businesses, but you're also going to have $400,000 to $1 million condos where those parking lots are downtown right now. So those are getting ready to be condos.
Well, that project is not going to happen. That's the Keith
that's
Wooder
not
project.
happening?
That's
Okay.
not going to happen. He could not get along with, we got folks watching outside right now, he could not get along with City Hall. And he finally said, to heck with this, Keith Woodard, the West 2nd project, and he left $1.2 million of his money on the table.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean that project is not happening. But I mean I agree. There's no need to get that, Judah. It's totally fine. Where I'm going with this is like, what are your thoughts on how that's going to happen? Where you're going to have brownstones over there down Water Street, in between Beer Run and C&O Restaurant on Water Street that are selling for like $900,000 to $1 million to $1.1 million to $1.2 million. And you have the Core CVille project, Andrew Baldwin's project on Water Street, the 550 project. It's a condo that's going like $800,000 up. I mean, eventually all the stuff around here is going to be, as you said, high dollar. I mean, how do you see that impacting the downtown?
What do you mean? It's going to impact because it's going to bring more money. So you got to it's something they need to figure out. And so again, I don't know enough about all of these different, but trust me, I'm going to research them. But I haven't to this point. I don't know enough about the dynamics of what it is they're really trying to. And I think that may be a part of it. Give you a piece here, keep you off balance a little bit, just so you can figure it out. It's going to be interesting. It sounds almost like they're going more towards the Austin, Texas model, where they don't have like an inner city, low housing type of situation in their city. What they primarily do is those black homeowners who own their homes, that's yours, and then this other stuff is out. So being in Austin, Texas, and not to see an inner city, not to see a housing development, was something I thought about because Austin, Texas is much like Charlottesville in terms of if you've ever been there. They have a lot of aspects, so it's like a lot of different places.
Totally.
But in terms of the city and the dynamics of their African-American community, pretty much their African community owns the east end of Austin. And so they pretty much do what they want to do, and they kind of dictate how you're going to develop us, if you're going to develop us at all. So you have no say in to say, we want to come in and do this. They have their own council that'll come in and say, hold up, you can't do anything without our approval. Now, is that going to be how Charlottesville is kind of diagrammed? Probably not, because I don't know if there's one section of this town where so many blacks get to the point where they can come together and create their own council that they have that problem. I mean, they have that because Austin is much bigger than Charlottesville.
Sure.
We're talking about 10 miles across.
Right.
Austin is a whole nother, we could
stratosphere.
We could stick Charlottesville.
A bunch
Austin,
of Charlottesvilles in Austin.
Yeah, that's a neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, but I do see the correlation of the two looking kind of the same, where it looks like, that what Charlottesville used to be, these housing developments in inner cities, I don't know. Maybe in the next 20 years, they may be phased out.
I got a question from Robert Gray. Robert Gray, I'm a huge fan of him on this program. He says he's not coaching at Charlottesville High School anymore, so correction on that. I apologize about that, Robert. On a bigger note, question for you. Can you guys speak to the evolution of redlining and gentrification in Charlottesville? I'd like to hear both of your thoughts. I'll throw it to you first, and then I got some thoughts on this. I have some really good thoughts on this, Robert Gray. Okay, so his question is gentrification in Charlottesville. So I see this a number of ways, Robert. I'll do it in the short term first. So when Charlottesville, Virginia started getting named the happiest place to live in America, by like all these publications.
World class. That was the thing. World-class
a world-class city.
World-class city.
Right, a world-class city and the happiest city in America.
Right.
For a number of years. So what ended up happening there is you got a lot of folks who did not know of Charlottesville that were reading about it in the USA Today, or were reading about it on the New York Times, the Washington Post, were reading about it on the Huffington Post. And they're like, oh, what is this about? This must be an incredible place, as all these media outlets are calling it the happiest world-class city, in America.
Right.
So then all these folks that didn't know about Charlottesville started beelining to live in Charlottesville because they were drinking the Kool-Aid.
Right.
They were chugging the Kool-Aid. They were funneling the Kool-Aid like I was doing in college. And I wasn't Kool-Aid that I was funneling, okay? And when they were funneling the Kool-Aid, they moved to Charlottesville with disposable income that did not match the income levels that were present in Charlottesville. And what I mean by that is they had more money.
Right.
Money coming from Yankees, New York City, Long Island, Boston, Philly, whatever it may be. And then next thing you know, because the happiest city in America, because of this world-class city moniker, money was coming into the community that was not reflective of earning potential in the community, and that immediately started driving up real estate values up because folks from outside the community were willing to spend an extra $30,000 or an extra $40,000, an extra $50,000 on homes. And then when home at 208 Little Graves, when I lived in Belmont, behind Spudnuts, okay, and when I lived there, it was still rough. To the point where, like, when some UVA grads moved in there, the folks that were in there are like, this place ain't for you guys. Okay? Literally, white folks saying that to me. This place ain't for you guys. You're not welcome here.
Now you kind of get why we kind of stayed out of it.
Right. Literally saying, this ain't for you guys. Okay? And I'm like, I'm just paying rent here, okay? I didn't know that. All I wanted to do was be close to the downtown mall. Because, I wanted to get down.
Right.
Okay? So where I'm going with this is when 208 Little Graves sells for an extra $50,000 above what its actual assessment is, it creates a trickle over or a viral impact to the rest of the street, raising the taxes and the assessments for all the other homes.
Right.
And then the folks that are authentically and genuinely from the neighborhood, that grew up in the neighborhood where their home was passed to them in the neighborhood, they then have higher real estate taxes and higher overhead, and eventually over time, it squeezed them out of the neighborhood.
Yeah, basically, they kind of undersold them and sold them, and we looked at the money aspect of selling that property and not looking at the generational. I mean, I guarantee if we could just have a survey and ask all the individuals particularly African Americans, had you known what you know right now, the prices of houses was going to be, would you sold your property at that point in time? Because most of them were underbid.
But no one has a crystal ball.
Nobody has a crystal ball. Yeah. But I mean, for many of those individuals, at that time getting a mortgage and then somebody saying, listen, I'll give you $180,000 for your house right now. And you looking at that, most people didn't have $180,000 and didn't know what that looked like. And so they said, well, I can take this, go get this, and, go, And so they moved out into Fluvanna and Louisa, where the property value was, you got a little more for less.
You got more land and a bigger house.
More land, bigger house.
For a less price tag.
For a less price now.
Yeah.
So that's how those communities developed.
Right.
Not knowing that basically you kind of opened the market for people to come in who could afford these houses. And there it is. The rest is history. You get these multicultural individuals coming in these communities, and the rest is history. And so it's been driving up.
Where have you
years.
seen the biggest gentrification happen in Charlottesville? From an African-American neighborhood standpoint. And this is getting back to Robert Gray's question about gentrification.
From 10th Street on, I've seen a major shift in what that looks like. From what it used to be.
Yeah, 10th Street, you're talking about those colorful houses on 10th Street.
Yeah, and you can go either direction. You go Page Street, you get to the bottom
That's a 10th and Page neighborhood.
10th and Page, you go either way, and you can have Westhaven right here. But if you start looking at the change of the houses and the population in those neighborhoods, the dynamic is so different. Let's think about it. 10th and Page used to be Hustle's Row. You know, that's where the crack game and all of that took place. It was a point in time where...
You're saying 10th and Page?
10th and Page used to be the hot spot in this town. You could get it done right there from a hustling standpoint, selling drugs and things of that nature. That was it. That's what it was noted for. I mean...
Now
Shannon
was a
red
Worrell...
zone. It used to be a red zone.
Yeah.
So now you go down there and look at it, and people come back and like, what in the world? All the way up your right side, all the way down the left side, and then if you go Page Street to your left or to your right...
You see $400,000 homes.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
I mean,
Easy.
I go down, so my buddy owns, my good buddy, groomsman in my wedding, is one of the co-owners of Peloton Station. Curtis Shaver, Bill Hamilton, and Greg Volger.
There was a time he would have never even thought about putting a Peloton Station right there. And
dude, I remember in 2000 when I was a student, there was a time where
chance.
I'm talking like probably 2007,
right?
Or 2008, and now you look at it. There's Red Hub Food Co.
Right.
Shannon Worrell and the Worrell family owned the Charlottesville Daily Progress.
Right.
They since exited to Media General, and then Media General sold it to Warren Buffett's company, Buffett Media. And when the Worrell family exited, they made a lot of money selling the Daily Progress. Shannon Worrell now is developing the 10th Street corridor. She is the landlord of Peloton Station. She's the landlord of the new mud house that's coming there. And she's taking the old Coca-Cola warehouse, and she's developing it into shops like retail, and offices on the first floor, and lofts on the second floor.
On the Coca-Cola building, right?
And the Coca-Cola building.
Right.
And dude, these lofts, dude, are renting for like $1,200, $1,300 a month.
All right, so let me ask you this question. What is the correlation? I'll be interested to see what is the plan. Westhaven is right behind it.
Oh, I know.
So that is interesting. And so not to hear anything about that should make people concerned.
Why do you say that?
Well, if they're not talking about it, you better believe they plan it. If there's a
what
plan,
do you mean by that?
Well, you just built 2 twin towers, and you're right now in their backyard.
You're talking the Twin Towers on West Main. You're talking about...
Right, that's right in Westhaven backyard. If you go down 10th Street, you can see...
The flats and then the ones behind Peloton Station.
It's a fence that separates all of that.
Right. That's true.
Right. It's only a fence.
I park there when I go to Peloton Station.
It's not like 5 or 6 miles, or it's not like 5 or 6 parking lots.
Yeah, it's a fence.
It's a fence.
That's true.
And so Peloton...
That's true.
...is a walkthrough. You know what I'm saying? So
it's a cut through.
Right, it's a cut through.
Come through the parking lot.
So I cannot imagine that. What is going to be the development of Westhaven? What is the plan with that? You know
I mean, I hate it. Robert says this. It sounds great in theory, and he's talking about having affordable housing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Listen, it sounds great in theory. I want to see it. I would like to see the blueprint of what that's going to look like.
Robert, and correct me if I'm wrong here. Jack Berner, thank you for joining. Caitlin Mancini, Marina Ringstrom, Denise Ramey, Jonathan Arnello. We have a ton of people watching, 7 channels across the I Love CVille network. If you have a question, comment, anything you want to relay to us, put it in the stream wherever you are watching, and we will relay it to Carl Brown. Robert, I'm going to get to your comment because I think it's really, really good. Tammy Barber is giving you props right now. Amy Hutchison-Williams giving you props right now. Tabor Martin giving you props right now. Robert says this, and I think it's something that we need to talk about. And I'm going to give the background and then throw it to you. He talks about what's going to happen with Friendship Court, where it's going to be single-family homes that sell for high dollars, say $400,000 or $500,000. And next to single-family homes, there's going to be housing allocated to families or individuals that make below a certain percentage of area median income. Okay, and subsidized housing. Okay, subsidized housing.
Yeah.
Okay, so he says this. This concept sounds great in theory, but let's keep in mind only 2% of America live in integrated society. How long can 2 very different socioeconomic groups of people coexist in the same place? It's dogmatic for us to believe this will actually work. History tells us otherwise.
Exactly, and excellent point, Rob, because that's the same question I have. I would like to see how this is going to work, but in terms of the medium and how are you going to do that? There are way more people that how is that criteria even going to be done? What is going to be the criteria? Because if you're talking about doing this at Friendship Court, guess what you're going to do? You're displacing a lot of people. If you're talking about so you got to all those people that are there now, they're going to get displaced.
That's what's going to happen.
They're getting ready to get displaced in some way, shape, or form.
A lot of them.
Probably most of them. You understand what I'm saying? So you're going to start developing and so you're going to get these $400,000. Now, at what point are these individuals who live in these $400,000 homes, who have purchased these homes,
when are they going to say, I want my neighbors to also be $400,000 homes?
Why do we can't? I'm not paying $400,000 and you got that. You know what I'm saying? So it sounds good.
On paper.
On paper.
That's why I think what's going to end up happening, Piedmont Housing Alliance is doing this development. I think what's going to end up happening down the road, and I'm going to throw it to you, is I think what's going to end up happening is this is the gateway or like the first inning, the second inning of that entire Friendship Court plot of land becoming like South Downtown, which is synonymous with North Downtown.
Listen, that's going to become... Don't be surprised if the new inner city or subsidized housing or low affordable housing become...
In a county.
Not in a county, Albemarle County.
You think Albemarle County?
So the edges... listen, let me give you my... So Albemarle is developing all the way up 29.
Yeah.
Going to Green. So there are communities...
Green's booming.
Well, I'm talking about before you get to Green.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's killing it.
It's now becoming like, as you drive up 29, it's starting to look like Washington. I mean, looking like Manassas. As you go up 29, looking like those communities off to the set.
And the south side of Charlottesville. I live in Redfields down Fifth Street Extended.
Right.
And Avon Extended is booming.
But what's going to happen is they're going to basically those outlining areas in Albemarle County will now become like the inner city, or that's where those individuals will go. Albemarle High School will be designated for them. They will build another high school. Eventually going to have to.
They have to.
Build another high school, North Albemarle, like you're going to 29,
totally.
Closer to Green.
I agree with that.
Forest Lakes area. All of that area will go to North Albemarle. Albemarle High School will now become like the Charlottesville High School of Albemarle.
Gerard Smith is watching. He's a Barbersville guy.
Right.
Barbersville will funnel over to North Albemarle.
They will, Monticello will now stay for the Esmont.
South side.
The Esmont, those places will be just an offset.
5th Street and Avon.
Right. Western will stay Western.
Right.
And then
people will raise a ruckus if Western changes.
Charlottesville High School will almost become like a magnet school.
Charlottesville High School is essentially in that scenario. I agree with you.
They're going to become like a magnet.
We're going to work Harris
different
Tolbert
kind
in
of
here
school.
soon. I think what Charlottesville High School in that scenario is almost going to turn into like a private school.
Right. It's going to be those kids who are parents are doctors.
Or UVA professors. Wealthy business owners that live in city limits.
Right.
We're already seeing it.
You're already seeing it.
Yeah. We have, and I think I mentioned this on the last show, we have a satellite office in New Providence, New Jersey, and that is a bedroom community of Manhattan. I have to go up there 1 week every 90 days to service our clients in the New Jersey Tri-County area. Mm-hmm. And dude, New Providence is like nothing but rich people.
Right. Well, Charlottesville getting close to that.
It's pretty much. Charlottesville city limits.
They're trying to figure out how we gonna do this. You know, I see how we keep coming up with these 400,000, 900,000, and you tell me, what are you gonna build first in terms of economic development? Are you going to pass up on the $400,000 condos we can get?
Of course not, because of the taxes.
Say, let's do
affordable housing.
Let's do affordable housing. Nah, it's a little bigger than that.
Kevin Leatherwood says, "What up?"
What up, Kevin Love?
Kevin Leatherwood, one of the smoothest southpaw basketball players. Kind of a point forward. He could post you up on the block. He could attack you off the dribble with his left hand and finish at the rack. Kevin Leatherwood could stroke it from downtown with a three-pointer that was money. He was physical. And also had finesse. I'm a huge Kevin Leatherwood fan. Charlottesville High School. Jump in here, Harris Tolbert. What are you thinking, sir?
Jerry, I've enjoyed part 2 as much as I enjoyed part 1 with Carl Brown here on the I Love CVille show. I really love when you were talking about how society has this weird tendency to like group individuals into subcategories that don't represent who they are. We're all individuals. You know what I mean? And I think that just having this, that y'all having this dialogue, it creates understanding. I think understanding raises awareness, and I think awareness breeds compassion. And I think compassion is what we need in Charlottesville. So just like to spread the love and positivity for everyone,
Love that answer. Jump in here on that. Yeah, Harris Tolber right there.
He hit it right on the head. Everybody, people come to Charlottesville. I'm going to tell you, just like this, and I've seen it from both sides. People come to Charlottesville, and the first thing they do is they try to identify a group. Who am I going to get with?
Dude,
I don't care race. It doesn't matter. Everybody's looking for that group.
Because they want security and comfortability, and they want to feel good about themselves.
Right.
And they think associating themselves with a group will breed those qualities. I am the absolute opposite of that. But I know not everybody is like that. Not everybody has the outgoingness or confidence or charisma or like the alpha tendencies.
Right.
Well, you have that.
Well,
you talk to anybody.
It takes work. But that's the American way. You know what I'm saying? You want to fit in.
A microcosm of that is like the cafeteria.
Right.
At like a high school or a college.
Right.
Like you'll see.
Now, I don't know. For my college, I went to an all-black college, so it didn't matter.
Okay. I'm talking where I went to college at UVA. You would see the Asian folks. You would see Hispanic folks. You'd see African-American folks. You'd see white folks.
Yeah.
And then you know what I was doing?
You was
buzzing everywhere.
Yeah, you was. Yeah, you get it. You do it like that.
I was buzzing everywhere.
I could tell.
Dude.
They probably looked at you and said, "Look at this little weird dude. This dude is a weirdo, man. This dude don't even know. He this wild dude, man." And you get that sometimes. You get like, "This is wild dude. Don't pay no attention to him." Not knowing that you would be right here, like, "Wow, that's Jerry right there." You know what I'm saying?
Probably right. Wesley Amons, Ray Cadell, thank you for joining us. Gerard Smith, running Board of Supervisors, thank you for joining us. Marita Rigstrom's loving the show right now.
Yeah, Gerard. What's up, Gerard?
You're getting some props from Devin DeMonte. Killa, let's go Bama. That's
a whole nother thing.
That's
an inside joke right there.
We want to. Okay, here's a good question. This question is coming from Chris Turner and Crozet. Where is Charlottesville going to be in 10 years?
Just in listening to what you talking about, a whole nother city.
I think it's going to be San Francisco.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be Austin, Texas. It's going to have its own little unique feel, and it's going to have because Austin, Texas has tons of money.
So is San Fran.
Yeah. And so it's going to be one of those kind of cities, and the dynamics are going to change. And if you can afford to live here, cool. If you can't, we got something for you. We'll send you out to the county. That's where you need to be.
Where's that? Fluvanna?
Albemarle County. No,
Albemarle County?
Albemarle County is going to become...
Dude, but Albemarle is expensive as hell too, though.
Yeah, well, but see, they have a little more flexibility in terms of...
Well, because they got more land.
Well, and in terms of doing the subsidized housing. And I mean, you think about it. Albemarle County has like... what do they call it? They call it mall side. They already have like the mall sides and those little areas that are low-income housing out there, but that's right on the strip. And so if you just take from that blueprint right there, they have way more land. I mean, we're looking at the mall. What are they going to do with that? I went in the mall, and it's like...
It's a ghost town.
Yeah, what is the purpose of this? I mean, it's kind of crazy to do that, but, I mean, eventually that's going to get to the point. You go right across the street, what is it, Albemarle Square? Not Albemarle Square.
What's that, Rio Hill?
Is that Rio Hill where where Fresh Market used to be?
Where
ACA is.
You're talking about Albemarle Square.
Yeah.
Albemarle Square.
Look at all that space.
That's a ghost town.
Yeah, look at all that space. So eventually that's going to become the thing. Because it's on the bus line, it's out of the way, it's easy to monitor.
Yeah.
You got to have...
You think so?
Interesting. Come on, man. You can guarantee that they already looking into how to monitor.
Because you're saying...
It's right down the street from... Well, you already developed something like that already. You're got
saying
all
the development around Westhaven is going to surround and engulf and swallow Westhaven, and then Westhaven has to go somewhere else.
Well, listen, if you look all the way around Westhaven, everything around is getting developed, even the houses that were there before.
10th and Page.
Yeah, 10th and Page. Those houses are getting developed as we speak. So people are buying those houses up and developing them. Eventually, they're going to look at that and they're going to call it an eyesore. That's the eyesore. And nobody likes an eyesore, regardless.
That's a sizzle reel. That was solid.
Yeah.
You killed it. We just filled 70 minutes.
Now, if I'm wrong, somebody say I'm wrong. But
no, I think you make really good points.
I don't see any development going on in Westhaven.
Dude, I think you make really, really good. That's why we invited you for part 2 in a 7-day period.
Yeah.
Because you're real and you're honest and you make good points. And I think you're on point.
I'm just throwing it. It hadn't happened yet, so I don't want to be like I have a crystal
but
ball,
we're
but you
allowed to
can look at
predict.
you can go look at. I'm there. I'm in that neighborhood enough to see. Whoa, look at this development. I remember this used to be this person's house.
Right.
And now they get ready to flip that out and look at who flipping it out.
Yeah.
And look at what's already been flipped out, and then go on the other side. If you go on Main Street and look at the Twin Towers and how that's so sweet, and then I look in the middle and I say, okay.
April Dent Ward says you're absolutely right.
But you know, yeah. Is the hindsight. So I think too often
it's going to turn
that
into
community is looking in hindsight like, well, this is what's going to happen then, as opposed to have foresight in terms of we need to start getting ourselves together because something getting ready to go down, and I want to be prepared as opposed to being caught out there.
Well, what needs to happen?
In terms of
and I think one person who's trying to lead this charge is Mayor Walker. Is she doing a good job?
In terms of what?
Well, you said what needs to happen is we need to get ourselves together because stuff is going down and we need to be prepared.
Well, we got to start preparing because right now it don't look like we're prepared. You know what I'm saying? It's happening.
Yeah, because the money talks.
Right, money talk. And so what you're talking about, $400,000, which means somebody has the money for that. And then you're talking about redevelopment. Where did that come from? Where's the money coming from? Is it allotted money for redevelopment to say this is the plan for Westhaven? Is it, you know what I'm saying? They've come up with a plan for Friendship Court. This is what we're going to do. Now, whether people comprehend or understand what that's going to really look like, you don't know until they knock all of it down and say, this is what it's going to be, and then it might be too late then.
Dude, I think you're totally right. You're getting Rico Hearn says, my guy Killa is crushing it. April Dent Ward says, didn't Lloyd Snook or Ray Cadell say they should put the county office building in Albemarle Square? Ray is actually watching right now. So jump in on that stream here, Ray, about April Dent Ward asking that question. Didn't Lloyd Snook or Ray Cadell say they should put the county office building in Albemarle Square? Hunter Corey is watching. Amy Carter is watching. A lot of peeps watching right now. You getting some serious props, dude.
Much love, appreciate it.
You're getting some serious
props.
props.
I'm just being real, man.
I think that's why people appreciate it.
But you also have to, it takes a lot of thought process, so you got to be on top of your game. And so I do a lot of reading. And
do you think the mayor's doing a good job? Because she's literally, this is one of her priorities. Do you think she's doing a good job?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, in terms of what listen, she doesn't come from a political background, so she doing her part. She doing what she can.
Right. Before she got the job,
you know,
she was a part-time worker at Parks and Rec.
Right. But what you got to understand,
still is.
What you got to understand is, I think oftentimes we in this community, and it's crazy, we in this community think like because you get this title of mayor that's what it is. That's only a title.
Right.
So Charlottesville is not run like Chicago or
it's not a strong
DC.
Mayor.
No. First of all, mayor has no power. You just get the title of the mayor. So from my standpoint, she gets the brunt of a lot of stuff because she's the lead. And I don't know if that was you know if that was planned or not in this time because she had to deal with some stuff just because she's the mayor. Now, if the mayor had the power, like Chicago, Detroit,
Richmond,
we talking about a whole different. I wonder if she would be the mayor. I wonder if the powers that be would allow her to be the mayor.
Interesting.
But because the council
for another show right
yeah,
there.
that's a topic for another show because most people think, well, she the mayor. Well, look at the dynamics. Our mayorship is not like
city manager's calling the shots.
Yeah. So that's going to be the new city manager coming in. That's what you want to keep your eye on.
He's coming in from Texas.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And so it's going to come from a different perspective. She is doing what she can. You know what I'm saying? Right, wrong, and indifferent. She's doing what she can, and she's trying to make a stance. But
love the interviews with you.
It's so much. She's dealing with a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because there are a lot of different views, and people making it out to be what they want it to be. So it's hard for her to really get work done. You know what I'm saying? To really be able to focus on that because you're getting so much different stuff coming at you. You know what I'm saying? So
you crushed it. Can we do it again?
Come on, man. You call me this time. You can call me another time.
I'm going to call you again, dude. It's good.
Yeah, but you got to keep the dialogue going.
That's what we're doing.
And if I can do that for people and just give them a little more thought into what
that's all we're trying to do.
This is just
two men talking.
Right.
It's just two men talking, not speaking for anybody else but ourselves.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what it is. Well, I'm an individual, so I don't speak for anybody but me.
But me.
Right. And if you like it, I appreciate it. That means we think alike.
And if you don't like it, don't have to watch a show.
I'm not trying to offend you. That's just my position.
If you
have another position, I'll be glad to kind of talk about it and tell you why my perspective is from this point, your perspective, and I get it.
Harris Toller, I'm going to work you in here with the question, what did you learn today in a matter of moments. Let's give some props to some people that are watching. David Eady Jr. is enjoying the show. Hunter Corey is enjoying the show. Ray Cadell says, yes, it makes perfect sense to everybody to have the courthouses in Albemarle Square, except the downtown lawyers who might find it less convenient. Plenty of space on the bus line for the courthouses to be downtown. Plenty of parking, which is a terrible problem with the courts right now. Thank you, Ray Cadell, for leaving that comment. I'll tag Lloyd Snook on this. So he hears this because he was mentioned. Sam Dale is watching. Tremendous basketball player.
What's going on, Sam?
He's watching right now. This was good. We're going to invite Carl Brown back on the reg if his schedule can permit, because he makes us better and makes the show better. I want to get Harris Tolber, who's a Western Albemarle graduate, a James Madison University graduate, a product of Central Virginia. What did you learn on the show today, Harris Tolber?
Yeah, like, you know, as this show progresses, as a longtime Charlottesvillian, I start getting all types of different views and people's backgrounds who are also longtime Charlottesvillians, and Carl, you're one of them. And it's just cool to hear all these different perspectives, and like in this place that I grew up, and that, like, you know, I only have my one perspective of it, but here I am just like listening to all these, you know, different collection of experiences, and I'm learning so much about Charlottesville. So I appreciate that, Carl. It was a great interview. I loved it.
I love it. Thank you. Good stuff, Harris Tolber.
Appreciate
you want a final word? How about this final word on the city council race? You watching anything?
No, I'd rather not.
You don't want to talk about that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Only because I focus in on mine, and so shout out to Bellamy Brown. Just want to put that out there.
You got a dog in the fight.
I got a dog in the fight. Well, I won't even say the fight. I got a dog, and who wants to fight? That's
He's
the question.
blood.
Yeah, that's blood. So in terms of shout out to Bell. Bell will be running as an independent in November.
What do you think about that?
What I think about him running
as an independent.
Well, it's important. What do we just talk about? If he, one of the discussions we had, and so him running as an independent was calculated because, no disrespect to any political affiliation, but in this time for our community, I feel like when you come out initially, people don't really get a good feel for you if you come out as a Dem or a Republican, because it makes
you get categorized.
You get characterized, and it makes it easy for an individual to like or dislike you because of your affiliation with one or the other. As an independent, it's just like being he's a single entity. He's an individual, intelligent.
He's watching right now.
Does his work. And we're going to keep doing that work, but it gives it allows people to understand, listen, think for yourself. And in terms of go with an individual that's going to serve your community the best. Forget the political affiliation, because that we see what that's gotten us. From a country standpoint, we see. And so you either Democrat, and so you kind of put yourself in a box. And so I don't like boxes, and I don't want him to get in a box. And as long as he does his work, which I know he will, probably too much sometime, I feel good. So back him and just listen to him. I won't even say back him. Give him an earshot, and then you make a formulated opinion of what you feel about him. But yeah, the guy came in, and he's been doing his work, and we talk about doing that work, and so that's where I am with him, and that's my guy. So yeah, we gonna make it. From my standpoint, that's my guy, and I don't look out. I'm looking after him.
Yeah.
It's blood, and I want him to do it right. I don't want him to do it fast. We're gonna do this right, and just like he said, we're doing this for the community.
We have 4 city council candidates watching the show right now.
Well, I appreciate
4 of them.
Good luck to all of them.
Got Jeff Gaffney watching right now. What's up, Jeff? This is the I Love CVille Show. This dude crushed it.
Appreciate it.
Crushed it.
Always love.
2 appearances on the show, and both time on the show, this dude went, I'd say, like 29 points, 13 dimes, 5 steals, 9. You got like a quadruple double.
I don't know if anybody ever pulled a quadruple.
Triple double.
Appreciate it, man.
Let's go 29, 12 dimes, and 11 boards.
Listen, let me give you my philosophy, and everybody understand this. Let's just go 5, 5, 5, and 5.
Across the board?
Across the board. Just
5 points, 5 boards, 5 dimes, 5 steals.
If you can do 5 of every category.
Yeah, you'll start every time.
Well, guess what? And if I get everybody on my team doing
you're
that,
going to win ball games.
There it is right there. I want to win. I don't care about the numbers don't work. I need to win.
Together we stand, divided we fall. Ralph Poindexter, your
yes,
page
sir.
is blowing up.
My guy.
I Love CVille Show, Monday through Friday, 12:30 to 1:30 on the I Love CVille Network. Thank you, Carl.
You're more than welcome. I have to get Ralph Poindexter up here and let you have a sit down with him.
Why don't next time
I'll see what the schedule is like.
The three of us do it.
Yeah, I'll see what the schedule is like. Yeah, yeah.
And we just shoot. Or Phil.
Dex, you see I got you on, Dex, so you already know, right?
Or we bring Phil and Phil Stinning.
Yeah, we can bring them all. Listen, I got a colossal of individuals that you would love.
I would love Phil
to
Stinning.
do it, yeah. We got to work his schedule. We'll see. Okay. Maybe summer months will be for Phil.
Okay, Phil Stinning, anytime you want. I'm Jerry Miller, guys. For Carl Brown, for Harris Stolber, for Judah Wickower, and Lauren Linsky, this is the I Love CVille Show. I close the program the same way every single time, and it's not about religion. It's about the golden rule. It's about treating others like you want to be treated yourself, okay? Treat others how you want to be treated yourself, and watch the positive viral impact it will have on the Charlottesville community. Treat others how you want to be treated yourself, and watch how it radiates throughout Central Virginia. We need that right now. It's the golden rule. I'm Jerry Miller. I'm coming back with What's Barking Local, a show that celebrates the pet and animal community in Central Virginia on the I Love CVille network, and in an hour and 11 minutes. Stay tuned. Good work, baby.
Appreciate it.
You crushed it. You get that photo? Looking sharp?
Always.
Right here. Judah will get that pic, baby. Thank you.
Always. Bro,
Was it